In less than an hour, the Senate expected to start taking up the debt deal now, which passed the House last night. But it didn't have full support. Many Republicans from the freshman class felt that they were elected to cut spending more than this deal does. One of those, Congressman Tim Scott from South Carolina, and he joins me now from Washington, D.C. Good morning to you, Congressman Scott.
Good morning, Gretchen. Thank you for having me.
I know that there was a lot of arm twisting and other kind of stuff going on to try and get you to change your vote before actually this deal came to pass. None of it seemed to work with you. Why?
Well, I really do feel like we need to change the financial trajectory of our country. We were heading towards the brink of bankruptcy, and I believe we still are. At the end of the day, this short-term deal that lasts just through the election is unfair to the American people. It simply doesn't do enough to get our financial house in order.
I know that there were many articles written about the group of you from South Carolina, some of the politicians who stuck it out together and determined that they were going to vote no. And part of that process was that you went and prayed together. How much flack did you hear about that, if any?
Well, interestingly enough, it's hard to believe that our country has come to the point where when men get together to pray that it's a laughable event.
Exactly.
We did get some flack over that, but at the end of the day, I consider my faith the foundation of my decisions. I'm not a Republican first. I'm a person who believes in Christ first, and I try to lean on the highest level of wisdom I can find. That is divine wisdom. No doubt God doesn't speak to me in an audible voice, but at the end of the day, I do believe that He guides us, He leads us, and He directs us, and sometimes we just disobey.
Now, some people would say that God was telling them to compromise. I'm specifically thinking about some of the Tea Party members as well, like Colonel Allen West from Florida, who determined quite early on that he was going to support John Boehner on this deal, and I believe we have a statement from him. We don't have it, but it alludes to the fact, and as well as Paul Ryan, that 2/3 of the way is better than zero. How would you respond to them?
I would agree that 2/3 of the way is better than zero. However, when you look at where we need to go as a nation, we are nowhere closer to that end game from my perspective. When you're talking about $2.4 trillion of cuts, and all we can find in the first year or two are about $20 billion, and it depends on how you do the math, and maybe even less. I don't know how you find the other $2.39 trillion over the next 9 years. So it really leaves someone for a reason to pause, take a look, and decide whether or not we realistically can even hit that mark, much less find $4 trillion in savings over the next 10
Somebody
years.
has to find a new kind of calculator to get to those kind of numbers. Congressman, let me ask you this. Much has been made in the last 12 hours or so about the Vice President and his potential comments linking Tea Partiers to terrorists. He now claims, he sort of backtracked in an interview with CBS Evening News last night. He said, quote, this: what happened was that there were some people who said they felt like they were being held hostage by terrorists. I never said that they were terrorists or weren't terrorists. I just let them vent. What would you say to the Vice President today?
I mean, I think the inflammatory remarks during high levels of pressure reveals one's character. So I'd be more concerned about who he is than what he said. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we as an American people stay on the same page, even when we disagree on how to get to the end of the road. We must agree that getting to the end of the road, or restoring financial stability and making sure that our nation remains financially solvent is important, and maybe the number one thing right now.
Are you demanding an apology on that comment, or are you just so used to being attacked right now as a member of the Tea Party that it's just another one on the list?
You know, absolutely. The way I look at it is that comment is just one of many. Our phones were lit up by people who had more inflammatory things to say about me than that one. So that just falls down to the 4th or 5th level. But what it says to the American people, however, is that our Vice President of the United States may consider some Americans, hardworking Americans that want a smaller, less intrusive government, hardworking Americans that think they're taxed enough already, to be comparable to terrorists.
I'm going to leave it right there. Congressman Tim Scott, who voted no on the debt deal, is my guest right now. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
More Fox and Friends, 2 minutes away.